So we're going to begin, and if you'd like to take seated hero pose, you can adjust your legs into that position. We're doing a standing practice today, and we're going to base it off of the Sun Salutation sequence. And I always like to take hero pose to prepare the legs for standing practice because it's such a good opener for the legs. If that pose is not accessible to you, just take a cross-legged position and make sure you have the support you need under the sitting bones so that your lower back is nice and tall, it's not rounded. And just take some time to adjust and to settle. And when you find your shoulders in line with your hips and your chest lifted and spread, join your hands together in front of the heart, close the eyes, and point your gaze away from your brain. So when we wake up, the mind is very active, so taking some time to become a bit more passive and receptive, more of a listening than a talking at. And just starting to observe what's going on inside of you this morning. You can sense a feeling tone. You can sense physical sensations, of course. You can sense your breath. You can sense the mind and the activity of the mind. And maybe here also just inviting an intention or something that is meaningful into your practice. This could be a word, it could be a mantra or a phrase, it could be an image, it could be a wish for yourself or for another person or for the world at large. This is another way to bring an additional layer of meaning and significance into our practice, which is not all about physical movement. As we know, we use the movement to help us transcend and expand our consciousness. As you're ready, bowing towards your heart, releasing your hands and lifting your head. Let your eyes come open and welcome. So we're going to find our way to standing mountain Tadasana. And you'll want to put a couple of blocks available in front of you. They don't need to be on your mat, just so they're ready throughout this practice. And we're going to be weaving our standing postures into the Sun Salutation sequence. I'm just going to adjust the camera a little bit, but once you're there, just find your way into Tadasana, putting the feet together if you're able to support that, aligning the second toes with your heels, adjusting your shoulders to arrive in line with the hips. Finding those broad, expansive, well-connected, well-balanced feet. And remembering that however the feet are connecting with the floor really signals the rest of the body to do the same, to kind of find balance, to find ease by way of surrender rather than clinging or contracting. Make sure your skull is right above the spine. Drop your shoulders and try to sense that the spine is moving lightly up in space from the tip of the tailbone up through the crown of your head. Bringing some firmness to your legs, moving the midline of the buttocks toward the front body. Good. So we're going to go through a few modified Sun Salutations. So if your eyes are closed, go ahead and open your eyes, join your hands together in front of the heart, and then inhale and raise the arms. And exhale, Lengthen to the floor, the blocks, or your own legs, touching down. Inhale, step back with your right foot. And exhale, step back with your left foot. Coming into downward facing dog. Holding here for about 5 breaths. Place your knees down. Sweep the feet together and sit back for child's pose. Keep your arms forward. Rooting the hands into the floor, draw your sacrum away from your skull. Grip the mat with your toenails, broaden your back body, use your breath. On your inhale, you're going to kind of pass through a table pose. Sweep the feet open so they're as wide as the knees. And then sink your hips down, coming into a back bend this way. So sink your hips down and look up. Curl your toes underneath. Find your way back to downward facing dog. And now I'm going to offer 2 ways to come forward. You can step forward, right foot, and then left foot. For some people, that's a very difficult transition. So if that's not your favorite, you can tiptoe toward the wrists with your feet kind of walking in. Otherwise, right foot, then left foot. And we're going to sweep the arms back up. Exhale, hands to the heart. And release your arms to your sides. And we'll do the very same thing to the left. Taking hands to prayer. Inhale, raise the arms. And exhale, lengthen, touching down to the blocks, the floor, or your legs. Stepping back with the left foot. Stepping back with the right foot. Finding downward facing dog. So be more interested in the chest remaining open, the shoulder blades moving toward the chest, than how straight your legs are yet. We have to work toward that openness. Good, go back to child's pose now. Take the knees down nice and wide, sweep the feet together. Exhale, sit back with your butt toward your heels. Really pressurize your hands to help the hips pull away from the shoulders, to bring the buttocks closer to the heels, and also to keep a sense of extension in your arms. You might even sense your armpits hollowing out. Now inhale, again, you're going to pass through a table pose, sweep your feet wide. Exhale, start to lower the hips toward the floor. You're coming into a back bend. Reach the chest forward, take your eyes up, and move the buttock flesh toward the front body. Move the tailbone toward the floor. Turn the toes underneath. Exhale, come back to downward facing dog. So again, you have the option just to tiptoe forward to modify, or you can step left foot forward, then right foot forward. Inhale, sweep your arms up. Exhale, hands to the heart. And release your arms at your sides. Close your eyes. Take a couple breaths. Drop the shoulders. Sensing your way into alignment. We'll do 2 more sun salutations. We're going to skip the child's pose. We're going to connect downward dog, upward dog, downward dog instead. So go ahead and bring your hands to prayer. Inhale, raise the arms. Exhale, deep forward bend, touching down wherever you need to. Stepping back right foot, stepping back left foot. Downward facing dog. Inhale, like you're coming through a plank position, but then lower your hips. You might flip over the toes. You might keep the toes tucked under. This is upward dog. And then back to downward dog. You can come forward tiptoeing, or you can step right foot forward and then left foot forward. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, hands to prayer. And release your arms, Tadasana. Okay, so we'll do one more. Connecting the hands at the heart. Inhale, raise the arms. Exhale, deep forward bend. Stepping back left foot. Stepping back right foot. Downward facing dog. Inhale, passing through a plank position. Take the hips toward the floor. Reach the chest forward. Look up. You might come over the tops of your feet. You might not. Back to downward dog. Tiptoeing forward or taking left foot forward, then right foot forward. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, hands to the heart. Come back to Tadasana. Join the feet if you can. And just pause for a few seconds, watching the breath. Lowering the gaze, dropping the shoulders. Wonderful. So we'll come into triangle pose, and this kind of entry point for our poses using the Sun Salutation, we come in kind of from the ground floor. So it's interesting to try your poses this way because you're coming in kind of from the lowest points of the pose and then taking the top arm up. So it's interesting to come in this way. I hope you find that as well. So we're going to come back to prayer position with the hands. Raise the arms, inhale. Exhale, sweeping those hands to the ground, the blocks, the legs. You're going to step back with the left foot. Pivot the left foot, turning the toes out, and ground the left foot. We're coming into triangle pose. So the legs are going to be straight. You're going to take your right block, place whatever height you need under the right hand, and then carry the left hand up to the left hip. Turning your hips to the left. Roll that right buttock toward the left side of the mat. Roll the left shoulder back. Try to look straight out to the side wall and connect the dots of the crown of your head and the tailbone so that you have a full extension of your spine. You're not dropping the crown of the head. We're going to take the top arm up now. And then to get a little more openness in the shoulder, take the back of the left hand to the right side waist. Pressing the back of the left hand to the right side waist. Roll the left shoulder back. And then keeping the shoulder where you've brought it, return the arm to a stacked position. We'll stay for 5 breaths. Good. We're going to sweep that left arm to the floor. You're going to pivot off that back heel. You can move your block aside, step back with the right foot, downward facing dog. Again, you can creep your feet toward the wrists, or you can step the right foot forward, then the left foot. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, hands to the heart. Back in Tadasana, extend the arms at your sides. So we'll repeat that to the left, bringing the hands together in front of the heart. Inhale, raise the arms. Exhale, lengthen toward the floor. Step back with your right foot. Pivot and ground the right heel. You can check out your alignment of left heel to arch of right foot. That's what we go for in triangle. You're going to use your left block, so it's right under the left shoulder, whatever height you need. Your legs are straight. Your right hand comes to the right hip. And you're going to start to turn to the right. You're going to really try to bring that left buttock toward the right end of the mat. the right long edge of the mat. Taking the right arm up, see how that feels. And then slip the back of the right hand to the left side waist, using the pressure of that hand against your side waist to move that right shoulder even farther back. Shoot a laser beam out of the top of the head that comes from the tip of the tailbone. Keeping that right shoulder where you brought it, stack the top arm. Stay for a few breaths. Just feeling this triangle pose coming in from the ground floor. We didn't come up into the pose from standing. We came here from folding forward first. Good. So you're going to bring the right hand down, pivot off that right heel, step back to downward facing dog. Your choice to tiptoe forward or step left foot, then right foot. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, hands to the heart. And relax the arms at your sides for Tadasana. Let's just pause for a half a minute here. Really plugging your feet into the earth. Lengthening up through the top of the head, releasing the shoulders down. Finding a neutral pelvic tilt. Making sure the knees are really secured by all the muscles that surround them. You're squeezing your thighs slightly. Pressing the midline of the buttocks forward, pressing the thighs from front to back. And your skull is floating right above the spine. Good. Now let's open the eyes. We'll prepare for a new sequence, hands together in front of the heart. Inhale, raise the arms. Exhale, lengthen toward the floor. Inhale, step back, left foot. Again, you're going to align the arch of the left foot with the right heel, and you're going to take a right knee bend, right knee above the ankle. Right hand is on the block, but inside of your right foot. Okay, this way that we're going to come into side angle pose is a little more secure, so we're going to give ourselves a good foundation here with the arm inside the leg. So squeezing the arm and leg together, take left hand to left hip. Bring that right buttock toward that long left edge of your mat. Roll that left shoulder back. Extend from tailbone through crown. And now we're going to take a vertically aligned left arm. You're going to start to take a big sweeping clock arm in a full circle, extending through your fingertips. And landing with your biceps, aligning with your left ear. Grab the floor with the outer left foot. So you're anchored. And then you're going to stabilize from the waist down. Don't let anything move. Inhale, you're going to find warrior two. Turning your whole torso to the left, even though it wants to turn to the right. So that your shoulders and hips are pointing to that long side of your mat. Good. Now you're going to run your left hand down your left thigh. Turn your right palm open. And on an in-breath, raise the right arm. And feel the right side body open up. Try to keep your right knee above the right ankle. Inhale, stretch back to your block. And now returning left arm alongside the ear. Turning your trunk from right to left. And anchoring into the outer left foot. Gently turn toward the floor. I want you to pivot off your back heel. Put your block under your left hand. Take your right hand to your right hip. Good. Now squeezing your right knee toward midline. Don't let it flare. Try to peel your chest to the right. Beautiful. Try not to take a nap on your left shoulder. Keep some pressure there. Wonderful. Squeezing out one more exhale. Inhale, turn and face the floor. You can touch down with your right hand. You're going to step back to downward dog. Okay, you can keep it here. You can take a little flow here, inhaling to a plank, into upward facing dog, and then back to downward facing dog. And either tiptoeing toward the wrists or stepping right foot forward and then left. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, hands to your heart. Returning your arms to your sides and closing your eyes for a couple moments. Feeling your breath. If the breath became a little ruffled up, just waiting for the smoothness and the steadiness to return. We don't want to start another sequence if we kind of lost our breath. So B.K.S. Iyengar didn't believe in cardio exercise. He used the Sun Salutation as a way to get cardio. Obviously, there's also a lot of strength training involved as well with a lot of these poses. All right, second side. So opening the eyes, joining the hands, inhale, raise the arms. Exhale, lengthen down to the floor and step back with your right foot, aligning left heel, right arch, and planting that left foot. And remember, you want to really feel the outer skirting of the foot grabbing the floor. You want to look back and see that you have a little dome in the arch of your foot. Okay, blocking your left hand inside the left foot, whatever height you need. And you should have wrist aligning with shoulder. So you're pinning the left arm and leg together. You're going to turn your chest to the right and take your right hand onto your hip. Just like the work you did in triangle, you're trying to bring that left buttock toward the long right edge of your mat. You're trying to roll your top shoulder back. Now you're going to take a vertically stacked top arm and do that big sweeping clock arm circle. Try to extend through the fingertips. Slowly do a full circle and arriving with the arm alongside your biceps. Your biceps alongside your ear. Your palm is facing down toward the floor. And connect the dots of the tailbone and the crown of the head. Really anchor into the lower half here. Inhale, sweep up to warrior two. Try not to disturb the lower half of the pose. And turn your chest from left to right so that your torso is really aligning with the long edge of the mat. We're going to take the right hand to the right thigh, the left palm face up, and inhale, lengthening left arm up and opening left side body. Make sure you don't lose your knee bend. We don't invite the knee bend to release here. We're just opening the side body. Good. Inhale, come back to your block. And return the right arm alongside the ear. Your knee is still bent, side angle pose. Wonderful. So we're going to gently release right hand down and pivot off the back foot until the heel is lifted. You can step out a little wider so you're in a lunging position. And you're going to block your right hand directly under shoulder. Left hand comes to the hip. And squeezing your left knee toward midline, start to turn your chest to the left. Try to keep right leg fully extended. Good. After an exhalation, you can inhale. You're going to be placing your hands down directly on the mat. Step back with your left foot, downward facing dog. And either holding here, and we'll meet you there, or inhale, pass through plank, sink the hips, upward facing dog, and then downward facing dog. And either tiptoeing in or stepping forward left foot, stepping forward right foot. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, hands to the heart. Release your arms. Come into Tadasana. And notice how the wise actions are there, but we're starting to feel more settled like we do in Shavasana. So we're finding repose in the pose, which is really how we start to master these yoga poses. Equal parts effort and ease. Okay, so make sure your blocks are right in front of you for the next sequence. And then join your hands in front of your heart. Inhale, raise the arms. Exhale, lengthen down, touching the floor. You might need to bend your knees. Step back with your left foot, and you're gonna hold this lunging position here. So you wanna make sure your right knee is in front, or is above the ankle, that you've stepped back far enough to make that alignment. You can put blocks under your hands here if you need to. So really securing the legs. Imagine there's a vise around your hips. Now see if you can anchor into your legs and extend your arms back. Maybe just one arm. Keep anchoring into your legs and now extend the arms forward. And now in an in-breath, bring yourself into a modified warrior one, which means we have a lunging stance rather than a grounded back foot. Good. Good. Okay, come back to your blocks. You're going to take your blocks in your hands with the tall setting, and you're going to start to walk yourself forward until your left leg floats up. And now remember, we don't want to be the dog at the fire hydrant. So try to roll the outer left hip down so that your lower back is level. Okay, give both legs purpose, fully extended, reach out through the left heel. We don't want to have a dead foot dangling from an ankle, so give your foot some direction, point the toes down. We're going to try to come into half moon from here, so make sure your right hand is directly beneath shoulder. You're going to start to stack your hips left over right, and maybe take your left hand onto your left hip, looking off to the left. And if you've gotten this far, you might attempt to stack the top arm. And now bring your left hand back to your block, point your hips evenly back to the floor. See if you can take your right hand onto your right hip. We're going to keep the sacrum level and just gently turn and point your chest to the right. So it's just a little itty bitty revolving half moon pose. Good work. Take your right hand back to your block. You're going to step down with left toes, bring your blocks with you. And then putting blocks aside, step back to downward dog. So the two pillars of yoga are practice and renunciation. So I want you to check in with that second piece, that you're not getting caught up in your performance, how you did, you're letting go. Because all practice is good practice, so letting go. You can come into upward dog and back to downward dog if you want a little bit of a flow sequence here. You can keep holding downward dog and we'll meet you there. And once you're back in downward dog, we're going to either tiptoe forward or step the right foot in and then the left foot. Inhale, raise the arms. Exhale, hands to the heart. And just holding your mountain pose, watching your breath. So we want that least amount of effort dial turned way down, but make sure you don't lose the wise actions. So we want to have the wise actions and least effort at the same time. And just imagine your face floating toward the back of your head. More subtle alignment, adjustment for the skull. If we say pull your whole head back, we often go a little too far. So just bring your face towards the back of your head. And make sure to notice any additional steadiness that's coming into this pose. It's always proof of, or evidence of our practice starting to really benefit us. Okay, so second side of that sequence. Blocks are ready for you. Hands come together in prayer. Inhale, raise the arms. Exhale, lengthen into Uttanasana. Step back with your right foot, but you're going to keep the heel lifted. You're lunging here. So you make sure that you step back far enough your left knee aligns with your left ankle. Block your hands if you need additional length for your arms. Put blocks underneath. Now you're going to really anchor into your legs. One way you can do this is connect your chest and thigh. Another way you can do this is really power up the right leg, extend it fully. And try to squeeze your hips together. Now see if those actions free your arms to extend back. If not, just take one arm back. And have the crown of the head working in opposition to the fingertips. Now see if you can sweep the arms forward. But suck the shoulders back, shoot the breastbone forward. Now on an in-breath, see if you can bring yourself up to one version of warrior one. Good. Extend back over the thigh, touch your blocks. And now you're going to start to creep yourself forward with your blocks in hand until the right foot comes up. And then do your work. You can look back at your right toes, point them straight down, lift your right inner thigh up, try to level your lower back. Aligning your left wrist and shoulder. And now take the right hand onto the right hip and slowly see if you can open to revolving half moon pose. Pointing your chest to the right, aligning your hips and shoulders vertically, and maybe, just maybe, stacking the top arm. Good work. Now find your way back to your right block, your hips facing the floor. Align your hips and squeeze them together. And take your left hand to your left hip. We are not going to rotate the pelvis, so keep your hips where they are, but turn the chest to peek to the left for just a little taste of revolving half moon. And now gently turn back and touch your blocks and step back until your right foot comes down. Put your blocks aside. Press your hands down, step back to downward facing dog. Maybe you're going to come into upward facing dog. And maybe you'll come back to downward facing dog. And then either creeping the toes forward or stepping in left foot and then right foot. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, hands to the heart. And release your arms at your sides. Drop your shoulders. And just watch your breath. And imagine roots coming out of your feet, connecting you with the floor. Dropping deeper and deeper roots until you, in your mind's eye, see a mirror image of yourself under the feet into the earth. And just that image alone gives the body a lot of support. That we don't stop where the floor begins. The feet can relax, and in that way they become more expansive. And expansive, soft feet are more intelligent. They're more quickly able to respond to those micro movements passing through us. And the whole body follows suit with that ease. And similarly, feel that the crown of the head reaches upwards. Maybe sensing everything to the periphery of your spine having weight, but the spine having that lightness. And as the spine ascends, keep your gaze pointed toward your cheeks, keeping the brain quiet. All right. So we're coming into Prasarita, Padu, Tanasana before we come to sitting down. So you can use your blocks, and you can take the long spread of your mat to separate your feet. And imagine one of your own legs could fit between your feet, so try to create that much space. Make sure your toes are pointing forward. And start with your blocks and walk them forward so that we can really find length and extension to the torso. And then once your arms are forward, let your head gently start to pass through the space of the arms. And just keep track of the weight bearing in the feet. If you're heavy in the heels, you know you're sitting too far back. If you're clinging to your toes, you know you're sitting too far forward. So look for balance in the feet front to back, but also side to side. We don't want to crush the small toes. So keep your inner heels and your big toe ball mounds anchored, but find a way to keep the inner arch of the foot lifted at the same time. We're going to see if we can take this imprint of a spacious torso, keep it as we pull the hands in. You might not need the blocks here, you might keep them, but try to move the hands closer to the space you've carved out between your feet. And let your head just dangle and point toward the floor. If your elbows are wide, try to pull them in so that your shoulders are wide instead. Try to draw the outer ankle bones in. Now begin to look forward, walk your hands forward. You're going to find a way to sit down. And you're going to sit on the edge of a blanket. And you can bring your right knee in front of your right hip. We'll come into a seated twist. So you could either place your left foot alongside the right shin or the left foot alongside the right thigh. Alongside the right thigh is going to be deeper. So if you need a little bit less, you're going to back off and just keep the foot near the shin. If you bring the foot alongside the thigh, you're probably going to need to rebalance the weight of the sitting bones. So just kind of pick up your buttocks and see if you can balance them a little bit more. And one more thing, if you do bring the foot alongside the thigh, make sure you're not uprooting the inner foot. If you're uprooting the inner foot and you can't ground it, it's really better just to keep the foot alongside the shin. So if you are going by the thigh, try to ground that left foot. Okay, so right hand is going to hold the left shin. You're probably going to want to have a little block behind you just to give your hands some support so you don't have to reach for the floor and distort your spine. So you're going to take that left hand behind you, centered up right behind the sacrum, and you're going to turn from there. And some people prefer to catch the right arm to the left thigh. Otherwise, keep holding the shin. So you can hold the shin, or you can take that that right arm to the left thigh. Your left buttock is going to want to pick up. Try to draw it back to the floor, back to your blanket. And just start with a neutral neck alignment so your chin is floating right above your sternum. And near the end of your twist, then float the head so your chin is more closely aligning with your left shoulder. And on an in-breath, you can release your twist. We're going to carry this left leg 45 degrees to the left, so it's kind of pointing out, and then move your right heel to the right upper inner thigh. So coming into Janu Shirshasana next. You might notice you need a little support underneath your right knee. Make sure to tuck something there, like a blocker blanket. And then use your hands to help you turn to point your chest toward the left leg. Anchor your leg into the floor. So your toes are above your heel. You're pressurizing your leg into the floor. You're going to take this initial moment here to get the shoulders really squared up around that leg. And now exhale and just bow toward the leg. You can keep your hands where they are. You can slide them a little bit more forward. We're not going to worry about a strap here. So you can feel that right shoulder wants to pull back. So you're going to continue to work with the pressure of your fingertips or your hands to keep your shoulders more evenly aligning over that leg. Smoothing out any crease in your neck, softening your gaze, and maybe feeling the breath moving into the right lower back. And now inhale, lifting your torso back up. We're going to be turning and facing the right shin. So let your right heel come away from your inner thigh now. And you're going to bend your left leg. We're going to come into a modified pigeon pose. So this is going to really help us with that right hip space. So you're going to bring your hands in front of your right shin and just start to creep the fingertips forward. And at some point, you'll feel like you have enough going on sensationally to bow the head. And as your body requests more, you can just keep folding more deeply over that right shin. If your hips are really open, you could extend that left leg straight back behind you for a more classical version of pigeon pose. Just about 5 more breaths here. And start to move the hands in toward the shin, start to stack your spine. And take a moment to extend both legs forward. And just place your hands next to your hips. And just sit upright in Tadasana for a few moments. Try to squeeze out the little gaps behind your knees. Lengthen the backs of the knees. And then we'll set up for the second side of that sequence. So we'll be bending that left knee and try to align it directly in front of the left hip. And then you can choose where you're going to place the right foot, either alongside the left shin or alongside the left thigh. If you go to the thigh side, make sure the inner foot is anchored. Make sure your sitting bones are as balanced as you can make them. Left hand to right shin, right hand behind you, centered right close to the sacrum and probably on that block so that you don't have to lean back to touch the floor. And try to move the flesh of the outer right hip and buttock back toward the floor, even though it wants to peel away. And maybe you're going to take that left arm to the right thigh for a deeper hold if you need that or want that. And for now, the chin is floating above the chest. Exhale by exhale. Feel the origin of movement is the spine itself. And then the secondary movement of the rib cage floating and following that action. Moving with the spine. And then deciding when it's time to move the head and align the chin more closely with the right shoulder. Keep a soft gaze on the horizon. But the gaze is looking out, the attention is pulling back inside your body. Finishing an exhalation. And then inhale, lengthen out of the twist. We're keeping some vertical length on your spine. And we're going to come into Janu Shirshasana, so you can extend your right leg 45 degrees and try to bring the left heel into the upper inner left thigh, propping left knee if needed. The knee is floating. We're not going to get very far in this pose, so make sure you prop because we need this to work like an anchor over here on the left. So use your fingertips to help you turn your torso to the right. And take some time doing that, a few breaths at least, with your spine upright. And then carry that alignment and carry that spaciousness into a forward bend. Bowing over the right leg. Your right leg in that Dandasana action of pressing into the floor. The left leg reaching out from inner thigh to inner knee. And maybe sensing your breath starting to swirl around the lower left back. Using an in-breath to lengthen back up. And now you're going to turn and you're going to let your left heel inch away from the left inner thigh. And you're going to bend your right leg. And we're going to be lengthening over the left shin. So you can take your hands in front of left ankle and left knee and just start to walk them forward until you're sensing that left hip is getting enough of a little opening. You're going to bow the head at that point and just breathe into that hip. As you need, you can walk the hands more forward, coming more level with the floor, with the torso. But keep your hands pressurized so that your butt isn't flying forward. You're bringing your butt back to the floor. If you feel like you could go deeper, you could inch that right leg out behind you, taking on a more classical shape here. Just about 5 more breaths. We'll use an in-breath to help you return your spine upright. You're going to sweep your legs around and just take a moment to squeeze your legs against the floor. Sit up nice and tall. Really squeeze your thighs. Your Make sure your knees return to a neutral state. If they've got a little bit of rotation there, we don't want that. And then you can come into your Shavasana, and whatever you need to do before that, make sure to take care of that. Whether it's more movement or gathering additional props or clothing, you can find your way onto your back. And spend a little time with the alignment of the pose. Make sure that the limbs are spacious, the hands pulled away from the outer body, the feet separated slightly wider than your hips, the flesh of the buttocks moving from the upper buttocks towards the lower buttocks. Palms facing up. And rocking your head a little bit so that the back of the neck aligns more closely with the floor, the chin tilts down. Use a blanket if you need to help your head find that position. Unhinging your jaw. Finding more spaciousness inside your mouth. And relaxing from the tongue all the way back to its root. Relaxing your lips. All the tiny little muscles that surround the lips. Noticing where the eyes meet, where the lids meet. And softening all the tiny muscles surrounding your eyes. Imagining the eyeballs resting on little pillows in their sockets. Imagine your cheekbones have tiny little sets of lungs behind them. And each time you exhale, the cheekbones sink toward the back of the head. Relaxing the skin of your face from the forehead to the chin. And sensing your breath as it passes in and out of the nostrils. Certain temperature associated with the out breath. A certain coolness with the in breath. Just sensing that for a few breaths. Bringing awareness to your throat, softening the throat, any tension in the throat, releasing it. Sensing your breath as it moves in and out of the throat. And bringing awareness to the collarbones. Feeling them lift and spread with each inhalation. And slightly settle with the exhalation. Bringing attention to the rib cage, broadening with the in-breaths. Coming back to a neutral position with the out-breaths. Bringing attention to the navel. Letting the breath begin there and finish there. Now bringing attention to the lower abdomen, the pelvis, and each time you exhale, just feel the belly relax into the pelvic bowl. Let your inhales become more passive. And now leave the breath to continue automatically as it does. And bring awareness to the flesh of your legs, softening, breaking free from the bones, releasing all the effort of this standing practice. Bring attention to your feet now. Imagining all the tiny working parts of your feet that articulate to hold you upright when you're standing and moving. Bringing breath and attention to the soles of your feet, the arches, the heels, the ball mounds, the pads of your toes, in between your toes, the joints, the bone of the heel, top of the feet, front ankles and back, Achilles tendons. And now with full body awareness, just taking a few very attentive breaths, just letting your breath enter and leave the body in a soft and passive way. Letting something go with each passing exhale, physical tension, mental tension, emotional tension. Taking a big breath in, letting it go. Starting to wake up the body with gentle, small movements. Starting with the extremities, letting the movement trickle in. Bending knees and elbows. And gently easing over to one side of your body. Moving from the corpse pose to the fetal position. Each time we practice yoga, we are changed. We come up slightly changed. So as you move from side lying to seated, just move with ease and care. And when you find yourself seated, let your hands meet in front of the heart. And as you lift your heart, as you lift the corners of the mouth, lower the gaze. And just take a few moments to acknowledge the effects of your practice today. One of my teachers, Jill, your teachers as well, sometimes, she says, may the benefits of this practice be shared with others. So hopefully there's a ripple effect. Let's take a deep breath in through the nose and let it go. From the place within me that I know to be divine, I honor that place within you. Namaste. All right, thank you all for being here. We'll do more Sun Salutation based standing work on Friday. And I know some of you are now joining me on Wednesdays. So I'll see you guys soon, hopefully. Take care.